one last quick comment and question. First off, Mr. Kessler, I think very correctly, talked about scope and scale and funding, DART compared to the T. You know, they're apples and oranges. They just happen to be, thankfully, in the same basket and connected, and we appreciate that. I think what we're really looking for, though, is that the TRE I often describe, it's a wonderful asset for us, but sadly at times we can look at it as a one-way train, because while we have wonderful things in Fort Worth that those living on the east side should come over here and enjoy, we don't have the connectivity when they get off the train that they have in Dallas. So why would you go westward? But there is a scope and a scale that makes that very difficult for the T, and that's why I think the idea to have a from the bottom up plan to look at what do we need and what do we want over here to provide that. I think that same scope and scale, though, since we've discussed tonight the bike plan, you know, the TAP funding and the $28 million, which I do not mean to minimize. I mean, that's 6 zeros. But while it looks like a lot of money, and it certainly is, when we compare it to the other transportation projects that are going on, those are all in the scale of billions. So when we talk about, oh my goodness, where's that $28 million going? Certainly Christie tracks it all, but again, there's a bit of scale here, and the bike ped is another matter of connectivity that people currently use and other people we hope will. So I have one question regarding the Tex Rail, though, and that is, we were all very encouraged when we first heard about it. I went to a lot of meetings about it. I know there's been a lot of difficulty moving this forward, but where are we on our plans now that we think this is going to happen? And plans are wonderful, but we can't write plans.
Thank you for that question. Where we are right now in the process is our program management team, they're still diligently working on the program management side of the house. We just concluded the selection process, although it's not public yet, but we are in the process of finalizing the selection for our engineering design team. So they will be on board shortly. There's at least one other step that has to happen first, and that is we have to have what's called a record of decision from the FTA as it relates to environmental issues. But that is about to be issued also. And then once that happens, we will go to our board with a recommendation for an engineering design firm. Once they're on board, once that happens, the NTP will be issued fairly quickly. So I would expect within the next 30 to 60 days, the engineering design firm will be on board. And then shortly after that, we'll begin the selection process to bring on board the construction contractor as well. And the construction contractor, the idea is that they'll work hand in hand with the design engineers so that from a constructability standpoint and perspective as they're designing it, that they're also working with the contractor prior to actually putting work in place to make sure that everything is what it needs to be from a design and constructability standpoint. So that's sort of where we are on the practical part of it from an implementation standpoint.
So from a level of confidence, A, this is going to happen.
Yes.
Great confidence in that. And B, it's going to happen inside the next 10 years?
Our target time frame right now is that we're looking at 2018.
Thank you.
So it's not too far away, actually. It'll certainly help the gentleman in the back once it's online.
That's why I'm living in Oak Cliff for years in this fall.
So, and I would also add, sort of all eyes are on DC. We're watching very closely what happens with the Highway Trust Fund, with Congress, with reauthorization of transportation bill, with annual appropriations. But everything that we have seen back from the federal government when they've looked at the various performance dimensions of the facility suggests that the feedback that we're getting is, in fact, the federal government looks at it as a viable project and a project that they have at least made initial commitments that they plan to participate in. There's a lot of moving parts to that. I think the 2018 estimate is very reasonable. I know from the Metropolitan Planning Organization's perspective, from funding that we want to put into the corridor to support, it's one of our highest priority initiatives, and we're staying focused on it, working with the T and all their various teams that are supporting that. So, yeah, everybody's focused on it, so we'll just...
And we also want to really thank our partners, COG, and a lot of our other regional partners for assisting us on the funding side at the federal level. We're doing everything we can on our end. We can't dictate, obviously, what happens in Washington, D.C., but we feel good about what we're doing on this end to make 2018 a reality.
And I'll just add, what we do is ridership forecasts, and our ridership forecasts are good, they're strong. We think the line's very viable, going to be a great asset to the region. So hopefully we'll get funding and get it done.
Would y'all have an RFP out on the street for the DMUs?
Yes, I forgot about that one. We also have an RFP for our DMUs. And as a matter of fact,
Tell folks what a DMU is.
You just lost everybody.
it's a type of rail car that we're using for the Tex Rail system, slightly different from TRD, Trinity Railway Express. And we do have a solicitation out. As a matter of fact, the bids were due today. So that's another piece of it that's also in the process. And we'll begin with the analysis and evaluation of the bids starting tomorrow.